Women in IT Day has just kicked off at the heart of Warsaw with an amazing speech delivered by Raisa, Ghazi, amazing global public speaker and workplace inclusion advocate. Raisa, it's great to have you here. It was really amazing. So, as you've mentioned, the path for every woman towards top positions in business can be challenging. It's not only about breaking the glass ceiling, but also, as you said, navigating the glass cliff. Could you explain what it's all about and how to avoid it?
Okay, cool. Well, so I learned about the glass cliff very recently, like a year ago. I hosted this event in UAE. I live there for women in leadership, and there, actually, a researcher from the university, I think she's from Zayed University in UAE. She is researching a phenomenon called the glass cliff. And the glass cliff basically means that sometimes women are put in a position when they know that the environment is going to make them fail because like the company's not doing well. And they're putting them there because they know when they're going to fail, people will be more likely to blame them. So that's something that we also know, that in our societies, we're more critical of women. And therefore, when they make a mistake, people are very keen on criticizing them and blaming them.
So women are easier to blame.
Yup, that's what it seems like.
The tech world is usually concentrated on the future, but you mentioned the importance of the past, of knowing our history. Could you explain that in details? What is the advantage of knowing your history?
That's a good question, and I touch upon this in my inclusive leadership workshops, because one of the ways of becoming more inclusive is by knowing your history. Because people who know their history, they're more likely to identify discrimination in the present. They're more likely to identify misinformation, or when people are not getting the credits they deserve. And that's why I mentioned, like, it's really important for people in technology to know their history, because they usually don't know it. But there's a second layer to this issue, because right now we're also dealing with a lot of misinformation about Muslims specifically. And I know this because I do content creation on this topic, and a lot of times when I Google something or ask ChatGPT something, the results are wild. And I just mentioned a few of them. Like when I mentioned, okay, who is the founder of, for example, robotics, or the father of computer science? Like Google will tell you someone who, didn't invent it, but was busy with it like maybe 1,000 years after the actual inventor in the Muslim world invented it.
So that all brings me to the topic of visibility and assuring your visibility. Do you have any recommendation, especially for women active on social media, how to build this visibility wisely?
So basically in my Women's Leadership Strategy course, which I started off to empower women in technology, I say visibility is one of the most important things, because there's actually been a research in Silicon Valley about what made 240 senior leaders successful, and all of them agreed it wasn't good business results, it wasn't expertise, it was visibility. Okay, and so how can you easily start creating visibility to be seen as a leader in your field, which is something I obviously also had to do, you also had to do, and mashallah, very successfully. And so one of the things that is really important, I think, to keep in mind is to create value. And so my value creation over my career has always been in the charities I've done, the nonprofits I've done, giving out free information to people to demonstrate also my knowledge. But then once you also have those achievements, that you're able to communicate that very swiftly. And so this is something that I know a lot of women struggle with. When I ask them to introduce themselves, they sometimes take 5 minutes. But like, it's something that you should be able to do in 30 seconds. And you'll always hear me everywhere. Within a few, like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, I can say, hey, I'm Raisa, global public speaker, 5 continents, work for some of the biggest companies in the world, and I'm a content creator or a lecturer. Depending on where I'm at, I adapt it. And so that's some of the things I think we all need to be able to do, create the value for our audiences and make sure we can pitch ourselves very quickly.
Okay, so you need to sell yourself or your product in an elevator even.
They call it an elevator pitch, right? Yeah, we should be able to do that for ourselves as well.
Yeah, that's true. And my next question brings me to the topic of teenagers and very young people who have difficulties and many mental health related problems now. We have many reports in Poland about that, and also women bothered with imposter syndrome. Yeah. What would be your message to such women and teenagers and young women and also young men who feel insecure? Is there anything, imagine that you can say something to yourself back when we were 5 years old, for example, on 10 years old or 15 years old?
Right, I'm gonna do like a little message for the small little me. Okay, so I was coincidentally just talking to one of the directors of Orange about this, and basically I would say ground your value in something else than being a woman, just a woman, or being in your career. Grounded in values that are deeper than that. And I think when you're grounded in something deeper than that, you're not shaken up easily. And I have to be honest, I moved to the Middle East a year ago, and I see that there it's much more prevalent that people have like very strong cultural values and religious values. And you can see that their confidence is not grounded in something that's easily shaken up. And it's an advice I give in this part of the world a lot, but it's also something I like to discuss with the people there, because the image that exists is that women there are not at all performing well, or they're not at all, empowered, but you can see that they're empowered in a different way. And in my opinion, I would say it's a more effective way.
Yeah, it's very inspiring, especially in the era of superficial Instagram times.
Right.
Okay, that was great to have you here, and thank you very much for all the inspirations, and come back to Poland once again.
Inshallah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.